I am a native Detroiter. I've lived in a few other places, but spent the bulk of my life in Detroit. Raised my son here. I have a son and a granddaughter and a daughter-in-law. I'm retired. I'm somebody who was raised in the old segregated Detroit where Black people couldn't live wherever they wanted. So our neighborhood was mixed in terms of economics. We had Dr. Sims across the street, Mr. Reeves, who was a mail carrier, a school principal. We had a real mix. My father was a telephone installer, and we had auto workers, the whole nine yards. I actually was listening to something yesterday. I went to see a film called Join or Die. It's really
Mm,
interesting. It talked about how our society thrives when people participate in organizations. They don't even have to be political organizations. They can be bowling leagues. But the thing is that the guy, and I wish I could remember his name, but the guy who did all this research talked about how important it is for people to live in mixed communities, not necessarily racially mixed. That's fine too. But that this generation is one of the first generations that will not exceed their parents in terms
mhm.
of accomplishments. Part of that is because the people from the lower income strata don't see any successful people on a day-to-day basis. They don't see college graduates and they don't see, doctors, lawyers, et cetera. Those people are outside of their world. And so I feel very fortunate to have grown up in a Detroit that offered me that. For all intents and purposes, my, parents were blue collar. I mean, although both of my parents went to college, work wise, they were blue collar. And yet we were surrounded by white collar people and professionals. And my parents' friends were lawyers, doctors, and judges, etc. That's been a big part of my background. As far as being an activist, I don't remember like a time that happened. I think it was in my DNA. I think my family, my father was very much of an organizer, labor organizer at the phone company. When he was hired, he was one of the first Black hires because Black people were becoming affluent enough to have telephones. So they had to hire some Black folks to go into those Black homes to install those phones. But the rules that they had were so rigid, like they weren't supposed to have facial hair, they couldn't wear certain clothes. My father was among those that fought for the right for, Black men to have facial hair,
Mhm.
and do. I mean, and it seems like a small thing on one level, but it's a part of our identity. Like why should you have to change who you are, how you look in order to have a job,
That's right.
job. So I've always kind of been around that. My family was also very arts oriented. My father and mother were key members publishing a newspaper in the city called Idioms that followed the Black jazz scene in Detroit. And I just unearthed a few copies I'm going to donate to the Sound Conservancy, got an archives of that kind of thing. So, I just kind of grew up with that awareness. But one thing that my father used to say that really influenced me because man, in college, I was around those kind of militants that dressed like Fidel Castro and, they never smiled. And my father used to say, what the hell is the struggle about if it's not in order to have a good life and
Mm.
not to be able to enjoy our lives? And so I always kept that in mind. And I never allowed myself to become that rigid, militant who didn't go to jazz clubs on the
Yeah.
weekend.